$100,000 a year. Still sounds rich. Still the number people say when they are asked what does making it look like. But in 2026, $100,000 puts you in the top 18% of individual earners in America and in New York City. It does not even cover a comfortable single-person budget. Here is the twist nobody talks about. Rich is not a fixed number. It is a moving target that shifts by your age, your city, and most importantly, which definition you are using. Income rich is different from wealth rich. And most people chasing the income number are ignoring the one that actually matters. Today, we are going to break down both by age with real 2026 data. Let's get into it. Let's start with income, because that is what most people picture when they hear rich. How much do you need to earn per year individually to be in the top tier of American earners? Here is the 2026 national snapshot for individual earners, based on Census Bureau and IRS data. Median individual income, $56,420. The national midpoint top 20% starts at. Needed $100,000 top 10% starts at. 135. 000 top 5% starts at. $185,000, 201 top 1% starts at. $350,000, $430,000 varies by Hagel. But here's the part these national averages hide. Income percentile shifts dramatically by age, and the same number means something very different depending on where you are in your career. At age 25, earning $90,000 a year puts you in the top 15% of your age group. Impressive. At age 50, that same $90,000 is closer to the 70th percentile. Still above average, but nowhere near exceptional. The bar rises as you get older because your earning years are stacking up, and so are everyone else's. And then there is the city problem. $100,000 sounds like a solid salary until you run the math in a high-cost metro. According to a 2026 Smart Asset study using MIT's living wage calculator, a single adult in New York City needs $158,954 a year to live comfortably. That is using a 50-30-20 budget, 50% to needs, 30 to wants, 20 to savings. San Jose comes in just behind at $158,080. Even in mid-tier cities, six figures is no longer the ceiling. It is increasingly the floor for a genuinely comfortable life. So if $100,000 is no longer rich in most major metros, what actually is? The answer depends on whether you're talking about income or net worth. And this is where the conversation gets real. The income number most people think of as rich doesn't hold up in most major cities, and the net worth number is even more surprising. Net worth is assets minus liabilities. Everything you own minus everything you owe. And it is a fundamentally different measure from income, because net worth is what you have kept, not what you have earned. Here is the key data point. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, the most comprehensive household wealth dataset in the United States, the median net worth of an American household is $192,084. The average is $1,059,457. That gap tells you everything about how wealth is concentrated. To crack the top tiers by net worth, here is where the thresholds sit in 2026. Top 20% net worth, $500,000 top 10% net worth, $1.92 million top 5% net worth, $3.78 million top 1% net worth, $13.7 million now. Compare those to income. A household in the top 10% by income earns $251,000 or more per year. A household in the top 10% by net worth has $1.92 million or more in assets. These are not the same households. You can earn top 10% income and have bottom half net worth if you are spending the income instead of compounding it. And this is where the age breakdown gets important. Median net worth by age, using Federal Reserve data, under 35, $39,702 ages 35-44, $134,885 ages 45-54, $245,885 442 ages 65-74, 411,358. Look at that jump from under 35 to 35 to 44. That decade is where compounding begins to show its math. A 30-year-old with $50,000 invested at a 7% real return will have approximately $380, 0 by 60 without adding another dollar. But a 30-year-old with $50,000 in credit card debt and no savings has a negative net worth and is starting the race 30 yards behind everyone else. Here is the critical question this comparison raises. The number that makes you rich is not the income number. It is the net worth number. And between 2020 and 2024, the net worth threshold for the top 10% grew by roughly 40%, while income thresholds grew only 23%. Wealth is accelerating faster than wages. Every year you delay building net worth, the gap widens. Income rich and wealth rich are different populations, and most people are chasing the wrong number. Here is the one figure that defines whether you can actually stop working. There is a third definition of rich that most people never apply, and it is the only one that is practically useful. It is not a percentile, it is a function. The question is, how much do you need to never work again? This comes from what is called the 4% rule, derived from the Trinity study, a landmark analysis of historical portfolio data going back to 1925. The finding: a portfolio withdrawn at 4% annually has survived 30-year retirement periods in over 95% of historical scenarios. So if you need $80,000 a year to live, your number is $80,000 divided by 0.04, which is $2 million. Let's run the math by spending level. This is what rich enough to stop working actually requires. $50,000 year lifestyle, $1.25 million portfolio, $80,000/year lifestyle, $2 million portfolio, $120,000 year lifestyle, $3 million portfolio, $200,000 year lifestyle, $5 million portfolio. The uncomfortable math: only about 18% of American households are millionaires by net worth. To have $2 million in invested assets, which is what you need to sustain an $80,000 a year retirement, indefinitely puts you solidly in the top 10% by wealth. Most people who think they are planning for retirement have not done this specific calculation. And here is the twist that actually matters by age. At 25, to reach a $2 million portfolio by 60, you need to save roughly $1, $100 per month at a 7% real return. At 35, that same $2 million requires saving roughly $2,400 per month. At 45, it is over $5,000 per month. Same destination. The cost of the ticket doubles every decade you wait. The math on when you start matters more than how much you make. Here is what that looks like across income brackets and where most people are actually landing. Here is the comparison that ties it all together. Two people, both earn $150,000 a year, top 10% nationally, well above the median. Person A earns $150,000, lives in Manhattan, carries $30,000 in credit card debt from their late 20s, drives a leased car, and invests 5% of income into a 401k. By 45, their net worth is roughly $180,000. Their FI number, based on a $120,000 lifestyle, is $3 million. At their current savings rate, they hit that number at age 78. Person B earns $150,000, lives in Austin, has zero consumer debt, invests 20% of income aggressively across a 401k, Roth IRA, and brokerage account. By 45, their net worth is roughly $680,000. Same FI number of $3 million. They hit it at 56. Same income. 22-year gap in when they are free. The difference is not the salary. It is the location, the debt, and the savings rate, three variables that income alone does not control. Rich is not a number you earn. It is a position you build. And the math to get there is fixed. What is variable is whether you actually run it. So, how much do you need to be rich in 2026? Here is the honest answer in one number. $1.92 million in net worth puts you in the top 10% of American households by wealth. That is the real floor of rich, not the income, not the job title, not the zip code. To get there, you need a savings rate above 15%, a portfolio with low fees, and enough time for compounding to do the heavy work. The income is the fuel. Net worth is the destination. If you want the exact step-by-step on how to build that net worth from wherever you are right now, that video is right here. And if this one hit differently than you expected, subscribe. We do this every week.